I'm as free as a bird now. Hello and welcome to episode 153 of Masters of the Forge. I guess Jason's implying that it will be released on Friday the 13th, so okay.
Yes.
Sounds good to me. Oh, so we need the
Hey man, I've spent years being asked, you mean Jason like in the movies?
Is it kill?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. So we're continuing our art coverage because this is what we're doing right now. It's my happy place, and that's what we're doing. We read Brutal Kunnin by Mike Brooks, and we have an interview with him later in the episode. First, let's talk about our hobby progress. So for our hobby progress, I actually literally have 0. I did not do anything. I took a lot of pictures of my completed armies. Obviously not the orcs. I did that a while back, and I don't. It's gonna be it. I don't do that more than once a year because that's a whole weekend of effort. So I mean, I probably will do a photo shoot eventually once I get a lot of it. You know, I might just wait until the whole thing's repainted. But anyways, I took group shots of most of my other armies because I finished up those Drukhari. I really wanted to get a good group photo in there, get a good armies on parade photo, and get it online. Which it got a lot of really nice responses, which I really appreciate. I think Warhammer Community did retweet it, so I got a lot of views that way. It's got the good, gives you the good brain chemicals. You know, it's the nice brain chemicals, which is nice to have. A little bit of not serotonin, endorphins. I don't know, whatever. Good brain chemicals. Anyways, so this is a time when I need to think about what I need to assess. What am I going to do? Yeah. What do I have left? And it is getting towards the end of the year, so it is a good time for that. There have been a few times where I was like, do I want to buy this thing? And my finger's on the trigger, and Christmas is coming. Why? So I've got some terrain I could work on. I'm not super enthused about it. Like, there's a Fortress of Redemption that has some very basic base coats on it, which I kind of would like to turn into a weird boy tower of some kind.
Ooh,
I really, yeah, I don't consider that a part of my, queue, because that's just really in a kind of a conceptual stage. I've got some Drukhari infantry in a box, but that's really just for if I need something specific, I will build it and paint it. But right now, I don't need it. I have like 50 witches and 80 warriors. Like, I have 0 need to build and paint any more of those. So they're going to just stay in there as basically as bits. Those are bits now. I do have 2 HQs in the mail. One is a Sunblood for my Seraphon, and the new Catechin officer that they released for like Store Holiday or something. I forgot what it was.
Oh yeah,
but she's on. Yeah, she's on back order, like big time back order. So that'll be. Yeah. They'll come at this. I put it to come at the same time because whatever. So they're on the queue, but they're not here yet. I don't know when they're going to be here. I have Tech Priest Grombrindal. I'm not going to paint him yet either. I wonder if I can use. I haven't decided whether I want to put him in my Carriage on Overlords or if I want to save him for a different project. So he's going to hang out there for a little bit too. Right. The one thing I am working on that is on my desk right now, which is going to get done, I think it is the next thing I'm going to work on, is the Thunderhawk. I cleared off an entire shelf next to me, and there's just enough room for it. I've got my measuring, I guess it's a caliper. I don't know. It's like, imagine a compass, like you draw circles with a compass, but without a pencil. It's just two points. So it lets you measure.
Okay.
It lets you measure you'll measure the distance on the model with that by opening it and closing it, and then you have a piece of paper, and you can like draw the points on the piece of paper for the exact distance apart, and like you can get good measurements that way. And I'm gonna use that for making my green stuff cabling and whatnot, so I can roll it out I can roll it out in my roller and bend it on the paper for the the points I need to, so I don't have to bring the green stuff up to the model and measure it that way while it's still wet.
Right.
I can just put it on the piece of paper and bend it, and then I'll make it a little too long. That way I'll just clip it.
Good.
When it's set. Yeah. When it's set, I'll clip it with clippers or a saw. So I'm working on that. It just needs a lot of bits on it. That's all. The Thunderhawk. It needs just more layers, more overlapping to give it that orky feel. I'm really grateful to Colin for giving me those extra wings. Having extra wings on this thing really gives it a lot of it. It just makes it look like a Franken hawk. It's really it's going to be a lot of fun. I actually bought some lead belcher spray that is going to go right on. It's going to go right on the resin. Just several layers worth. So that's kind of the only thing really that's on my plate right now is that Thunderhawk. As far as planning is concerned, I still have all the orcs to repaint. I'm going to work on that a little bit at a time. I'm going to cut chunks out every once in a while, usually based on stuff I need. For example, right now I've got a really sweet unit of Shooter Boys in my army, in my Crusade army, that is just doing so great. They really, right now I'm using the old 2nd edition orcs, the Shooter Boys, and they're very, very, they're very small. And I'd love to get the actual yellow Shooter Boys that I have repainted in the new colors and on 32 millimeter bases and use those instead. So I think after the Thunderhawk, that'll be my next big project. But other than that, the orc repaint I think that's going to be a good focus. The Drukhari, the only thing I really want to get for that, I'd love a Reaper, but it's perpetually out of stock on Forge World. It's basically a catamaran with a giant gun on the front of it, or it's a raider with a giant gun on the top of it. The Tantalus, that's the catamaran, that humongous catamaran looking thing.
Yeah,
I want one of those. That's on the Christmas list. I'm a little scared of it though. It looks very daunting. So,
I've heard that it can be not an easy build. Shall we say it that way?
Well, it's got those flowing lines. It's in resin. It's funny though. What could
possibly go wrong?
Yeah, the smart thing is that the grading is all brass etch.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Which is super nice. Yeah, the floor grading, that really intricate like scroll work grading is all in brass etch instead of resin, which is way better. Way better. So that's nice to know. So that's that. That's kind of like a nice to have if I ever get around to it or get the cashish. For the Carriage on Overlords, I don't own a frigate yet. So I kind of want to get a frigate just to have a frigate, just because it's something I'm lacking. I really don't need anything else for that army right now. I have pretty much, I'm at my limit for Carriage on Overlords, or at least that I'd care to have. If I got a frigate, that army would make a nice Armies on Parade if I could get a nice big Realm of Metal, rusty Realm of Battle board going on that. So, like I said, all these armies, the Drukhari and the Carriage on, it's just a matter of like getting a model to really round out the army. After that, I really don't want to do anything else with it. As for new arm, so this is the thing. I don't know if I think maybe I should try really hard to take a year off from doing a new army.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody's like hashtag New Year, new army. Maybe I should do hashtag New Year, old army, and really focus on getting my orcs looking nice in the new paint scheme and everything like that. I still am interested in doing Aurora chapter. You know, I'm falling into that trap. My buddy is doing a vibrant a Salamander's army.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks it looks real good. It looks real good. And I kind of don't want to do the Aurora chapter right now because he's painting this really pretty, really beautiful, well done green army. And I should just do what I want, but it's hurting my brain. So there's that.
Yeah.
Also, I am a little daunted at so many clean lined vehicles. I watched a Duncan video. He did an Impulsor in Imperial Fists colors. The dry brushing looks not bad. I would definitely buy a new dry brush, like a brand new one, and work with it. But I don't know. I'm a little daunted by Aurora chapter right now, and Space Marines in general. I don't have a good track record with keeping Space Marine armies, so I'm a little worried that I'll just fall out of love with it and sell it.
Yeah, that's... How many times has that happened since I've known you?
Lots.
2?
Twice.
3 times?
Twice. No, 3 if you count the Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the Star Eagles twice.
So maybe it's not for me. I'm still considering the Day of the Dead army. I had some designs to do my Lizard Folk as Day of the Dead as a proxy for actually wanting to do Cities of Sigmar. The more I think about it, the more I really would just like to do a Cities of Sigmar version of that. Having everybody wearing Dia de Muerto clothing and face paint and like flowers and like just a celebration of a life well lived, you know. I really should give a year to just relax maybe and just kind of do a little here and a little there. Maybe we'll see what the event schedule looks like and I'll have a better idea. But I think at the end of the day, when I go to an event, I bring my orcs anyway. So, and who knows? I don't think Adepticon's going to happen. I really don't
either. If it was, we would already be doing reservations for it. Because all my Adepticon stuff, like when I got it, I was like so stoked. It's like I'm finally going to Adepticon, and I taped my schedule to the mirror in my bathroom because just like this is going to be awesome. And now it's just like I look there and going, yeah, that would have been real awesome. Cool. Okay. So yeah, I don't think it's, or if it does happen, it's going to be so very different than what it was, you know, the year before. But you know, and another year past this, I think it'll be back to quote unquote normal. So hopefully.
Yeah, so that's my hobby progress. It's been more of a planning thing. What about you, my friend?
Well, I've been it's kind of funny. So I've been doing a lot of, you know, hobby hangouts with our buddies from, you know, New York and whatnot. And, you know, did the Adeptus Terra one and done a couple of others. And normally when I do them, I don't paint, I'm building. And I realized, like, I've still got models, but I don't have a whole lot left to build. So I started priming last night because why not? That might be a good idea. like I hadn't primed the Indomitus set, which was kind of a shock to be honest. I did prime some stuff from there. The one big thing that I've been working on this past week, though, is the my Bastion, the Sorcerer's Tower. That I finally finished building. Like I kept adding little details here and there, but I didn't want to be too over the top just because I just kind of didn't want to do that. I was wanting to have more of a kind of like a Sorcerer's Tower that maybe it's mid transformation from what used to be a Bastion into something more, and it's still in that mid transformation. So what I'm doing with it now is I'm painting it kind of as a white marble with some blue, black, and some green and blue and some, umber sepia accents. I got a little heavy with the umber last night, so I have to go in and clean that up a little bit today or this week. So, but it's something I've been working on, having a good time with it. And there's a communications array that comes with it. It's got a couple of skulls on there and Imperial stuff. I thought, let's go through and put like an icon of, Tzeentch on there, and then the burning flame icon from the rubric box, because that'll look cool. And, it's a small change, but it really does give it a different look, And I primed that last night and then did a very light lead belcher coat. And now I'm picking out details, so it'll be, in copper color to really give that bright, difference. And then later I'll paint the icons with the airbrush. Yeah.
I kind of prefer the off metallics, like the off color, not metal or not gold.
Yeah.
Right.
And this isn't gold. This is much bright. I mean, this is, I think. Hold on, I have the paint right here by me. There it is. It is. It's not that one. It's this one. Brassy brass. No, it isn't. It's copper. Sorry. All three of these paint. There's 3 paints by me, and it's copper. It's really bright color. But I'll have silver and black and kind of this copper color to really set some of these other, to get a little more detail without having to paint every little thing. And the 2 Tzeentch icons, the 2000 Sun icons, I'll use a much more expanded palette for that. So, but that definitely needs the airbrush, because I'm not painting OSL by hand. I'm not that self-abusive. So, hey, I picked up a Firestrike servo turret.
Oh, neat.
I didn't feel like building anything that I had at the house. And I drove by the game store to pick up something else. So I picked that up, and it's kind of a push fit. So cut the posts. That was fun. I did add purity seals. Like I started working on that technique to create them, because G-Dubs isn't really putting a whole lot of purity seals in the new Primaris stuff, and I need those, so making my own. Green stuff and plastic card. So it's pretty cool. I had never really thought about the technique, but now that I've done it, it's actually a lot of fun and kind of enjoying building them. Let's see. ATV, built that, add more purity seals, finished the build, and I primed it last night. I didn't prime I should have primed that servo turret. I'll do it later. I also built the new store exclusive whatever Terminator Chaplain. It's a push fit, so cut the posts. Definitely cut the posts. Even with cutting the posts, it gave me a couple of issues, so really watch those.
Okay.
It's also got a detailed base, which I don't like, and I think we had this discussion the other night with Plane Show.
I missed that hobby hangout. And I'm gonna miss it again this week because we're gonna be playing Warhammer.
Oh well, our buddy Bill, he had some things to say about characters with the Captain Morgan stance. So
Uh-huh. Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty funny. Let's
That's a
see.
good hangout. Those guys are fun.
Yeah, yeah, it's good to hang out because he was there and Manhattan Mike was there, and
And
I
whiskey was
felt like I
there.
was who? Wait, what?
Whiskey showed up.
Oh yeah, whiskey. Vodka made an appearance as well.
Oh, very
Yeah,
nice.
that was obviously there's a really good vodka distillery in Albany that I had not heard about. So yeah. One last thing. Let's see. So when I was talking to Bill to Plane Show a couple of weeks back, he told me about these Croot Hounds from Etsy.
Mhm.
Um, and I have a bunch of metal Croot Hounds. It's don't ask me. I don't know now. It's at that point.
You've you've essentially paid your dues on official GW Crude Hounds.
Pretty much. And I was trying to kind of I love the models. They're such a fun, model to be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's a guy on Etsy who's doing them, same level of detail, same height. They're a little bulkier, like they're like more muscular. They're not so rangy, I guess. Like they look like they're more well fed than the other, the G Dub Crude Hounds.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 10 of them, got 5 poses, and each pose is mirrored. So yeah, I'm pretty sweet. I'm pretty happy with them. They're pretty sweet. I just need to go through and prime those and actually find some 25 millimeter bases. That could be a problem. I'll store
No,
from some
no,
G-dubs.
actually, yeah. You know what? I think I've used up all my 25s. I don't know what happened. I'm not sure how that happened.
I blame it on the cats.
Partially, I think it's some of my Drukari. Uh, Tucker had them on scenic bases, and I switched them over to just regular bases. So
Yeah.
it ate up my entire supply. Not that you really need 25s much these days anymore, but when you need them, they're actually starting to get hard to find.
You can buy them in sets of like 100 from G-dubs.
Right.
I think they're like 40. So
right, you can get 32s, and the cool thing, if you order from Forge World, you can get Slata 32s for Blood Bowl, which is good if you're rebasing metal miniatures that have slots. Instead of cutting them, you can get those those Blood Bowl bases, which are 32 millimeter with slots.
Oh, I might need to pick. Yeah, because these metal Crute do have.
Or the
extra Crute I have do have slots. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I highly recommend that then.
Okay, I need to do a Forge World order anyways because I need to pick up the new Imperial Armor book. So yeah, that's pretty much my hobby progress was, realizing that I don't have anything primed, and so I'm starting to prime stuff. So
okay,
but it's cool, Well, that and working on the Bastion and trying to decide if I want to, the next evolution of my Sorcerer's Tower. Do I want to be a monolith or do I want to be like a Fortress of Redemption? Just gotta kind of think about that. So
okay,
yeah. So what about, let's see, we're on to games played. Yeah. How's it going, Adam?
So there's been a little bit of a drought of games played for me. It's really just this election has been pretty rough. Yeah. So it's just been hard to concentrate on stuff. I've been self-medicating with video games this week. So the only game I played was with you, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yes. Same with me. I mean, I've been instead of playing video games, I've been dealing with I've been working with something that I'm going to talk about in Beyond the Fringe. Okay. But yeah, I've also been watching the Bob Ross Twitch stream. They did a week-long. Yeah, they did a week-long marathon of all of his shows for his birthday, which was pretty cool because I would just leave it on, and at night I would like sit there and fall asleep while listening to it. It was lovely and odd, but whatever. It was cool. I enjoyed it. So Are you ready, Adam?
So, beyond the front. So last time you said I was going to enjoy it, and I listened to it, and there was no special effects whatsoever. Are you telling me you can't hire you can't pay one of those kids you got over there $10 to do some modulation or something? Jeez. So yeah, I've been playing a lot of Pathfinder Kingmaker. I guess it's been out for a while, which is okay. I mean, that's actually a good thing because then you know all the bugs are out. Well, ostensibly all the bugs are out. Yeah. It's just like playing Pathfinder. At least the version I remember playing, and I have played in the Kingmaker campaign. It's one of the few actual campaigns I've played in, and we actually finished it. And it's been really nice to revisit it in the video game. I really have enjoyed it. So if you're looking, it's definitely got like a turn-based. It's got a turn-based combat mechanic, which feels just like the D&D style, like 3-point-E play style, and it's got overland map travel, and there's a kingdom building aspect to it. Like you play as someone who has been sent to tame the wilderness of a certain region, and you become a baron of that wilderness as you build it up and bring order or disorder at your I chose to be nice and go more good than evil, but there's definitely a precedent in the game for going full jerk, which seems like I think the game would be totally different if you did that. So I think this game has replay value. What's your Beyond the Fringe?
Now I have to actually mark that one real quick. Okay, so it might be on the Fringe. All right, so we don't talk about like Games Workshop hobby stuff or any of that stuff because that's what this is not supposed to be. So one of the things that I do as part of my career and job is I create weird noises. That's kind of my shtick.
Your middle name Foley is your middle name. Axel Foley, Jason Axel Foley Mitchell.
Oh man, I like that. Yeah, there we go. All sorts of middle names. Yeah, pretty much. I went ahead and ordered it was a quote unquote easy build synthesizer from, and I can never pronounce this name right. It's either Moog or Moog. I think it's Moog, but it's a Moog Werkstatt 01 from Sweetwater. Basically, it came in a box, and it was kind of here you go, build it yourself. And I thought, hey, build it yourself. I'm used to, building models all the time. It's like, 2 hours, maybe 3. 43 minutes with me, like, trolling my friends on Facebook and through, email and whatnot. A much easier build than I thought, but it's a great introduction to modular synthesis, like running with oscillators and filters and other fun stuff. Really great synth, really low price. And when I say low price, it's low price for audio stuff.
So what kind of effects do you do with that?
With this, I'd be creating like a lot of different low frequency type rumbles or high frequency rumbles, or just kind of like the weird high various frequency synthesizer sounds. Think of
stuff that you'd sample and reuse.
Yeah. I don't want to say like Forbidden Planet because that's way too far back. Yeah, and that's a theremin too.
Don't you have a theremin? You should have a theremin.
Oh, I'm building
one. If you
don't,
I was going to say if you don't, I know what to get you for Christmas.
No, I have a okay, so I bought a Raspberry Pi.
Ah,
And I'm going to build that and turn it into a theremin.
that's fantastic.
So, yeah, because, I build things for my hobby, I build things for, my job, so it keeps me out of trouble. But yeah, it's going to be fun. The only issue with these synthesizers is you buy one and then you want to buy another one, and
Wow.
then your stimulus check finally comes in, and you're looking at the stimulus check and you're looking at the Sweetwater site, and the stimulus check says, "Come on, it'll be okay." So yeah, there we go. Oh
Fantastic.
well. So, anyways, yeah. And people who complain about GW prices definitely don't buy audio gear. This is something that I've talked about with Dave G out of the Chicago area. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, he and I've had this conversation a couple of times.
Fan freaking tastic. Well,
Yeah.
I think that we don't have an astropathic communique. We have received some books from Games Workshop, but we received them super late. So I'm going to be having an online game with our buddy Snooty, who plays Death Watch. We're going to do a what do you call it? The episode for the Freebooters Network.
Altar of War, Masters
Altar
of War.
of War, thank you. An Altar of War with that one. And I believe the next episode will be doing something Space Wolves, because we've had a request. Yeah, we've had a request for something Space Wolves, and we have the new index. And I kind of want to go into the layout of these indexes and the kind of things you can expect from a Crusade standpoint and from a narrative standpoint. There's some interesting stuff in there that I already noticed about, like, kind of changes to the lore. Not that I am upset about anything in the book. It's notable that
Really?
there are changes, so that I should. It's no secret. It's really it's stuff to do with Space Wolf successors and how that wasn't really kosher in the day. Now it's kind of kosher again. So I want to read. I actually want to read that lore cover to cover, so I can speak from a knowledgeable place. I'm worried. I'm worried, dude. Though I've always wanted to do a Harold Deathwolf's company, and great company, and I really shouldn't do this to myself. What were you about to say?
Well, I was going to say is I had kind of wondered about how they handled the successor chapters with the Primaris, especially for Space Wolves, because the Space Wolves lore about successor chapters was very much set in some of the Thousand Suns versus Space Wolves campaigns, especially I think it wasn't Curse of the Wolfen, it was the book that was released in like either 2017 or 2018. Oh no, it was Battle of the Fang. Sorry, that was where they talked about that. Yeah, which we talked about.
We've talked about it several times. We've talked about it. So, like, where you just can't make successors. Now that's splitting it up from the the base code that they have, like the gene seed that they have. So I just want to read it to speak from from a knowledgeable standpoint. I'm sure people have done talking heads about it on YouTube already. I don't care. We have a different thing going on here. So why don't we take a quick break? We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the Crusade game we played. Damn, I knew it was around here somewhere. Damn, where is it?
Can I help you?
Ah! Scared me.
What do you seek?
I need the perfect scenario for a narrative game I'm running this week, and I can't find one.
Sir, this is the Black Library. We don't have narrative scenarios.
Well, then where should I go?
Might I recommend the Tabletop Campaign repo?
The tabletop campaign repo? What's that?
The Tabletop Campaign Repo is an ad-free site for hosting resources related to playing tabletop miniatures wargaming.
Oh, like scenarios?
Absolutely. Also, event packs, custom objectives, tracking sheets, custom terrain rules, maps, icon packs, award templates, and more.
Oh, and this is for Warhammer 40k?
Among other things, there's also Age of Sigmar, Kill Team, Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and others. They're always open for content submissions for any system, even non-Games Workshop materials.
Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like a great way to save all of this great content the community makes. A lot of that stuff often ends up disappearing into a dead message board or Facebook group.
Exactly. It's a real community effort.
Great. So, how do I get there?
Just go to that webway gate marked tcrepo.com.
tcrepo.com. Got it. Can I ask you one more question before I go?
Fire away.
This place is really easy to find. How come Armand can never find it?
Oh, because it's more funny that way.
Oh, yeah, clearly.
Once again, the Tabletop Campaign repository can be found at tcrepo.com, and they're always looking for submissions.
Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 hour a night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke ei bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer ei bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said. Welcome back, everyone. So, for this segment, we're going to be playing a game of Crusade in the Pariah Nexus. And for this segment, I'm going to be recording on my headphones on the porch because we don't want to wake the baby. Now, we started an hour and 20 minutes ago, and we haven't started playing yet, so that's cool. 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 All right, so the mission... So if you'll recall, last time Jason was racing towards some ruin, a canyon where my Cabal units have holed up, awaiting relief from the witches. Finally got a signal out, and we're going to be reunited very soon in the heat of battle because the forces of the Thousand Sons and your sorcerer, your sorcerer and a whole bunch of his demon buddies are coming in to grasp the intelligence from me. So we're using the Crucial Intelligence mission today. If you want to look that up in your Funkin' Wagnalls while we're talking, that is Incursion Mission 1 from the Beyond the Veil Crusade pack. So the battlefield I put together there's a canyon, an incursion canyon available on the workshop. It's pretty sweet. It's multi-layered, so it's got a lower level that's in the canyon, and then there's an upper level that's the desert above. I turned down the lighting and switched the lighting to a purple light, and then I put a couple of green lights inside the canyon to show that it's kind of Necron-y. I also put 2 black obelisks that look like they've been unearthed by an archaeological team. Then up on top, it's kind of a U-shape, like a horseshoe-shaped canyon. So there's one big kind of rise in my deployment zone. So I put a ruin, like a small entranceway ruin up top of that. That way, if we want to, we can enter a kind of a tunnel at the bottom and exit at the top, or vice versa. That way, there's a way for people on foot to get into the canyon or out of the canyon. But I told you ahead of time, make sure you bring all your flying stuff,
because that's important. And also, it's you can shoot into the canyon, you could fly into the canyon. We might even say, hey, why don't we just make it so you can fall and die if you want to, or try to not die.
I think that honestly, I think though that the horrors jumping down into the canyon would be really narrative, to be honest.
Well, they would fall into the canyon and explode into 2 blue horrors each when that happened, I think.
Oh no, that means I have to. Oh,
The canyon would be full of horrors.
yeah, I'm not going to make that joke. I've got a joke for it. I'm not going to make it. I'll leave it alone.
Right. So the Crucial Intelligence mission has like a Dawn of War deployment 9 inches from the center of the long center line, and it's got a thing where you give 5 of your units crucial data. So, and that data has to be transferred to your HQ in order for you to win the game. So they have a progressive scoring. You get 10 points if you transfer data, and then you get 10 points if you kill something that had data on it. And it's a one-time thing, so it's not like for each thing you kill you get 10. It's just if you did the transfer data you get 10, and if you killed something that had data you get 10. And there's an action for transferring the data. The unit that's doing the transferring does the action, and then it gets all the data that's on them gets transferred to whatever unit you want that's within 18 inches. The interesting thing about that action is that it starts at the end of your command phase, so you have to do it before moving. So you have to kind of set it up, but it does have a pretty long range, so that's okay. The person who wins this scenario, the character, any character unit that had data points can be given 3 experience at the end of the game. So it's basically the character gets a free mark for greatness, basically. Normally you don't generate a strategic setback, but we decided to use one anyways because of the narrative way we were telling this story. So we are using faltering deployment. That's where each of us splits our army into 3 equal pieces. You do it after you embark on transports, so that makes a little bit more sense. So my army is... I'll do my army first, since I'm kind of defending and I'm already talking. I had my Cabal on the battlefield because they were being rescued. So right now, on the battlefield, in the canyon, I have a unit of 10 warriors, and a unit of 20 warriors. The 20 warriors are the Lord Null's, 20 warriors are the True Living. That's one unit on my left flank in the canyon. Then I have a 10-man unit, Lord Null's Flencers. They're along with my Archon, guarding her. And her name is... I haven't used her very much. Airdial Shadow Nova. So far, the story has been mostly about how the witches are trying to find her. So they're on the battlefield. Then I do have some. So normally you have to start all of your points on the battlefield, all of your contact points or your info, your data points. But I didn't have enough, for the battlefield. So I do have one Cabal Venom with a 5-man unit of warriors. We're going to say that they actually flew out to, they knew that the witches were near. They knew that Succubus was coming, so they flew out to meet them and guide them to where they've been hiding. So they're going to come on in the first movement phase with my other Venom, my Witch Venom, with my Succubus in it. And then at the end of the second movement phase, I'm going to be coming on with the slower transport, the Raider, that has the 10 model unit of Sasha's Raiders. They're the ones with the gauntlets, the Hydra gauntlets, and they're being escorted by Lady Hexus's Harriers, which is my my jet bike unit. And that is my army and their disposition. Jason,
All right.
what are your 3 groups?
Okay, so I'm taking my, crazed thousand sorcerer and his demon buddies. So my first wave is going to be 2 10 demon units of horrors. I'll not make any more jokes about that. So 2 units of horrors and Helldrake. Scraps back after getting kind of spanked on that one game. So then the second wave, I have a group of 9 screamers and the Mutalith. I was putting together the units a couple of weeks ago, and I realized that having 9 screamers would be the best use of that number. I don't want to go with 12 because that's something else. So that's second wave. It's pretty fast moving. Well, the Mutalith's not fast moving, or the horrors, but each wave has either a flyer or some sort of fast attack. And the third wave is the other group of 9 screamers and my sorcerer on a disc.
So I love your list here, dude. I think it's really cool. I love that. Like where I'm starting with my HQ on the battlefield, you were bringing yours on last. Like he's driving his demons forward before him, looking for me and getting information from the area, while he'll come in last. And I think that's really cool. I think that's very narrative.
I thought that would be something fun. Instead of being right at the front, it's more like, here, let's jam everything forward. And I was kind of wanting to set it up to where it was the first wave was all flyers, because that would be the first one hit. But I thought no, because that I think I couldn't I couldn't go through and partition it just right.
Right.
And I thought that a group of screamers with my sorcerer would actually be kind of narrative as well. They'd be like his personal, guard, I guess. So yeah, but yeah, man, that is my list. It's pretty fast moving, except for the horrors. So yeah.
All right, neat. So what I'm gonna also, Jason, your 3 intel points are on the 2 horrors and the Helldrake, which are deployed, and your first wave. So it'll be the Vortex Beast and the 9 Screamers coming in at the end of the movement phase on turn 1. That way, for both of us, all of our intel points will be on the battlefield on turn 1, which is in the spirit of the mission. And I think it's a really neat way of doing data collection that isn't objectives. I think that's really fun. I think that's really, and don't forget that we can only do this action once per turn. So you'll have to be very efficient with moving your intel points. So you want to move 1 to 1, and then 2 to 1, and then 3 to 1, etc., because there's only 5 turns in the game. You don't move one at a time. You can only do one movement at a time, but when you do the movement, you move all of the intel from one to the other.
Okay, I need to go back and look at that real quick, make sure I know what I'm doing.
No, it's all good. We'll go over it again. So basically, so the first turn you're going to be moving 1 to 1, and then the second turn you'll go, okay, so now I move this 1 that has 2. I move those 2 to another one that has 1. Then the next turn, okay, now I'm going to move these 3 to another one that has 1, etc.
Yeah.
So it's like they're playing telephone, passing this information along.
Okay.
So in this one, I think it makes sense to have a couple of HQs, but I'm pretty sure my succubus is going to be dead, so I'm not going to have that. She just dies every time. It's fine. She likes the pain. She enjoys the pain. So Jason, do you want to quickly, before we go, roll off to see who goes first?
Yeah, let's do that. Hold on. I need to.
I rolled a 4.
have to make sure I get back to Tabletop Simulator. Let's see. What do I want? Yeah, let's go with the red. Come on. Come on. Fine. This makes great radio. People are now like, why can't Jason actually get dice out? Why can't I get dice out?
Are you not? Yeah, you're promoted. I got dice out.
Yeah. Weird. Okay. Well, I'll have to go through and edit that. Okay. So let me go ahead and roll that green one. Got a 2, so you're up first.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. All right, we'll see you guys after the game.
Blood Ravens Chapter is a Facebook group set up and run by passionate fans of the mysterious Space Marine chapter. They have weekly features, regular competitions, and an encouraging community ethos designed to let people get the most from their hobby. Search for Plus Blood Ravens Chapter Plus on Facebook using the plus symbol if you're a fan or collector of these heroes of the Imperium. Knowledge is power. Guard it well.
All right, game over, man. Game over. Good game, Jason.
Good game, yeah. A lot of fun.
So there was a lot of back and forth. The big chasm in cutting across the battlefield really had a huge impact on our ability to engage each other.
Yeah.
But it was pretty interesting. It was so deep that you really had to get right up on the edge to fight me. Or to shoot.
Yeah.
Well, for either of us to shoot, really, and I had the more shooty army.
Yeah.
But
I didn't have a whole lot of shooting in mine.
no.
I mean, that's, kind of what I wanted was more of a in-your-face army anyway.
Yeah, the Thousand Sun Sorcerers, demon hordes really got up in my business with the what are they called? The flying horribleness.
Oh, the Screamers?
The Screamers. Yeah, the Screamers.
They love you.
Yeah, they're really interesting, and we still use the 4+ to get back horrors thing, and the more I just really think it's just a terrible. Everything about the horrors is terrible. Their rules are so hard to balance and adjudicate. I just hate them. Like I'd rather have my entire army killed by Screamers than have to deal with duplicating horrors. I'd rather be tabled by an army of Screamers than have to figure out what to do with horrors.
Well, there's part of me that would love to have an army of just Screamers, just because,
right?
It would be more narrative for the list I'm running. But do I really want to get that many Screamers? So yeah.
I almost like the 7th edition version of the horror rules anyways. Like, I would rather it just generate a new unit somewhere than this. It's really tough. It's really hard. I'm curious to see what they're working with at Games Workshop to deal with that stuff. But having said that, we slowly leaked onto the board, pecked away at each other. Now my witches jumped forward pretty quickly to meet you in battle because I really needed to put pressure. I wanted to kill some units. Like your guys were kind of spread across your deployment zone, and I really focused on holding my Archon back totally screened, and I just kept on filtering data to him to her the entire time. And I think it paid off. In the end, you almost pushed in there, but then I jumped in the transport with her. You hit my center with your Screamers and the Helldrake, and almost killed one of my little 5-man unit of Kabbalite warriors that had a data point on them.
Yeah, I just couldn't take that guy out. It just wasn't happening. So,
he was screened by the Venom was over there screening him, so the Helldrake couldn't actually pile in past the Venom. So when you killed the models in my unit of warriors, I removed them all down to one guy who was too far away, and I spent
Yeah.
I spent 2 command points to give you a -1 to hit that unit. Then I spent 2 points to auto pass the morale on that one model. So I spent 4 command points for him to live, but he did. So, and he lived long enough to transfer that 1 point. And it's that one
Yeah.
point that won me the game. At the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what it came down to.
Yeah.
You know, just this one. What was it? 50 to 40 at the end. I mean, just
90 to 80.
no, 90 to 80, but that was still just one transfer, one mistransfer. And it'd be a different game, or it'd be a tie. But yeah,
it would be a tie. It's essentially a tie, anyways. But yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So I got 3 points for my Archon, three extra experience for my Archon for winning the game, which is good for her. She really hasn't been in a lot of battles. That makes her blooded.
Yeah.
Now, who on my side do you think should get marked for greatness?
Who finally took out that stupid horrors unit that I had?
Oh, yeah. I assaulted your horrors, got it down to 1 pink horror, killed it, and then you spawned a blue horror from that, and I'm like, all right, fine, and I killed that and got it down to 1 freaking brimstone horror. So my succubus with 1 wound left, she tanked like an entire unit of screamers all by herself somehow.
I think she should do.
You split the battle, and
but
then she had to.
Punch.
You forced me to charge 1 brimstone horror with my succubus, and then she got in the venom and ran away.
I kind of think she should get it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think this is the first game she's survived. To be perfect, no, yes, this is literally no. This is the second game she survived. She usually dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mark for Greatness on her is not a terrible shout. She's really cool. That puts her at 12 experience points. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it's 15 to get to Battle Hardened.
Okay.
Right now she's an inspiring hero, and her glaive has Shredder. So we'll see. I think I'm gonna try to get her a relic when she reaches level 2, because I think that reaches Battle Hardened. I think that would be pretty sweet. On your side,
I don't know.
Let's see what almost stopped me from the Helldrake. Almost stopped me from scoring. Like it really did. I would say either the Helldrake or the unit of screamers. I'm gonna go with the Helldrake. The Helldrake almost cost me the game, to be perfectly honest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it really did. So yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, it almost cost me the game. So yeah, if he can get a few special abilities, it might be really good.
Yeah. Okay. So he's
like if you upgrade his weapon, I think he'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, because I've got the what's that thing called? The shooty thing, not the Bale Flamer.
The autocannon. Yeah, if that autocannon can get an upgrade or two, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, because he did do some stuff. My sorcerer didn't do a thing.
Yeah.
Just not anything.
So as far as we didn't actually say what our agendas were prior to the game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we both took the one from the Beyond the Veil pack.
Yeah.
For what was it, Jason?
Hold on, I've got it here somewhere. I know it's in the show notes. I put mine in the show notes at least.
I'm taking 20 minutes to open the show notes personally.
Sorry.
I don't know.
Okay,
I closed it.
Survivor was the... No, wait, you took Ambush and Survivor, yes. And I took Survivor and Reaper.
Right. So Reaper is you're guaranteed to... As long as you kill one thing, you're guaranteed 2 experience points. Yeah, you did.
What did I kill?
You killed one unit of warriors. You killed 2 venoms.
That's right.
Right, and I think it's that unit of screamers on the. it killed the jet bikes too. So that one unit of screamers on the right flank gets 2.2 experience for that. And survivor. Okay, yes, my Shadow Nova gets 2 points for being survivor.
Okay, so this one gets Reaper. Let's see. Reaper was what again? That's 1 experience point?
2.
2, okay. All right. Hold on. Oh, experience from... There we go. I'm still learning this Excel file. Cool. Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to roll on the battle traits for Shadow Nova. Here we go. I rolled a 1. She gets Swift and Agile, +1 move, and +1 to advance and charge with my Archon. Okay, cool. Swift and Agile. All right, buddy. This was a really fun game. So for our next game, let's regroup and go back to the webway. I think it would be cool if next time we will perhaps you can start working on your wizard's tower, and we might be going after some resources, both going after the same kinds of resources to get the job done.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll fight over some resources that you need to start building the tower.
Cool. It kind of matches up with what I was doing, during the downtime. I'm working on my tower right now.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Excellent. All right, guys, stay with us, and we'll be right back with our interview with Mike.
Hey, mofos. Are you looking for more Warhammer 40k video content? Well, the Scarred Cast posts regular battle reports as well as tactics and strategy videos. Be sure to check out all the cool hobby content for the avid tabletop wargamer. That's Scarred Cast, Skared on YouTube.
Welcome back. Okay, so Jason and I sat down. Oh, wait, we already recorded this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. Welcome back. So, last time we talked about the snake bites. Now, we had some messages saying that we forgot some stuff, which, okay, we didn't actually forget stuff, but we didn't go in depth about a lot of stuff. There are some things that are very old Hammer that are adorbs, like the like the cyborgs, right? Cyborgs were a thing. You could, I honestly, we brought them up. I did say, I would just use them as bikers, and that's what I do in my army. I have a unit of 9 cyborg riders, and I use the old Orc boar riders and the wild savage orc boar riders, because the bottoms have their legs wrapping around the boar. If you take a regular knob and you kind of split them along the crotch, you can get them to sit. You can get them to sit on that with only a little bit of green stuff. Green stuff fur is not hard to make. It looks really good, and then the knobs can just have whatever weapons they have on there. But we've talked about that in the past, and also there was some talk about if you guys recall, there were some what do you call it? The campaign books by G-Dubs, Psychic Awakening. Yeah. So in the back sections of those stories where they give little vignettes of stuff that's going on in the galaxy, they talk about orc infested planets that they saw like hoof prints and stuff. So I'm wondering if that's just a fun thing that they threw in there just to be funny, or if we're actually getting cyborgs in the future in a big in a big Snake Bites release, which would be nice with plastic squigoths and stuff. That would be really nice. But in lieu of that, I would just use them as bikes. Nobody's going to care. You take the back end of the bike and you stick it on the side of the cyborg. You give this. I actually sometimes I cut the front feet off and just glue the front axle of the bike on, so the back legs are kicking and it's just rolling on the front, or vice versa. Anyways, it's an expensive kit bash, but whatever. Who cares? I guess you could also buy old ones, but the new ones are better. And pulling off that kit bash is really fun. They put orcs cyborg everything up. Don't be afraid to cyborg whatever the heck you want and throw it into your army. One thing that I'd like to do is I did want to do some squig rules, and I never got around to it for last week. This week I did some. These rules are never play tested. These are alpha level rules, just to give you an idea. So what I decided, I decided not to go too crazy with like every single squig type you can get. But what you can do is you can pick up the squigs from Age of Sigmar. So if you go to the Games Workshop website and click Age of Sigmar, and then you go Grand Alliance Destruction, and then click Gloomspite Gits, or as our friends over at the Badcast would say, the Gloomspite Jits, you have a squig herd that you can pick up. These guys are adorable. There's just look at how adorable they are. You have a bagpiper playing music, and they're just running around. They got big teeth. I love them. They're so cute. Anyways, these little cuties. I would say 3, 6, 9. So yeah, they come with 10. Cute. Yeah, they come with 10 in a box plus the 2 grots. Yeah. The two, I forget what they call them in Age of Sigmar. But they also have the Loon Boss on Giant Cave Squig. And they also, I'm pretty sure they have a Giant Cave Squig box as well. But they do have the Mangler Squig. I didn't do any rules for the Mangler Squigs. Okay. Oh, they have the Squig Hoppers, but they're mounted. I wouldn't use those. But the Mangler Squigs are a little. I haven't made up rules for those for today, but it's something to think about. Anyways, for today,
I haven't really looked through this part of the GW's website just because
it can be dangerous, dude.
Yeah, I could see. Ooh.
Yeah, Gloomspite Gits are so cute and so fun. And there's so much other good stuff in that Age of Sigmar. Like you could just do a hobby project and never play them and be happy with it.
Yeah.
So for this, I did a unit called Squig Herd. I didn't do points because I don't care. But it's power level 4. You have 10 squigs. For every 10 squigs you go above that, it's an additional 4 power until you get to 30. You bring it up to 40 total squigs. For 16 power, which is a lot, but that's a lot of squigs. It's a lot of bodies. The regular attack squig, so you can have for every 10 squigs, up to 3 of those can be something other than an attack squig. Okay. But the regular attack squig, which is, I think it's also, there's a lot of other names that they have for that one, right? So call it whatever you want. Correct me if you'd like. The stats are 8 inches of movement, which makes sense. They're really fast. A weapon skill 3+, 3+ weapon skill, so the same as an orc. 7+ ballistic skill because of reasons, strength 4, toughness 3 because they're little, wounds 1, attacks 2 because they bite you, leadership 4, and a save of 6+. I think that makes sense for Squigs, right? It's not that they're afraid, they're just hard to control. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have 1, 2, 3. I have 7 different other Squig types to go into the Squig herd. Again, for every 10, 3 of those can be a special Squig. So the Bile Squig, the difference there is it has a really low weapon skill, because it just shoots acid at you. Its ballistic skill is a 4+, and it shoots a sweet like bileless spittle, which is a 12-inch pistol. Strength dash, AP -1. It automatically wounds on a 4+ because it's like acid poison stuff, right?
Yeah.
So then you can have a bitey Squig. They're the ones that have like this really manic bite reflex. So they're exactly the same as an attack Squig, except they have 4 attacks. It's the only difference. Then you have the boom Squig. If you recall, they have a tendency to explode when you look at them funny. Boom Squig actually has like less attacks than a regular Squig. It's kind of pensive, tries to keep out of trouble until it's in trouble. So they're unstable. Whenever a boom Squig is destroyed, it explodes. Pick one enemy unit within engagement range and deal D3 mortal wounds to that unit. Also deal D3 mortal wounds to the Squig's own unit. Makes sense. Now, here's the thing.
Next one's my favorite.
Now, here's one more thing. At the start of the combat phase, if a boom Squig is within engagement range of enemy models, roll a dice. On a 4+, it's destroyed, which means it explodes, which also means you can apply those mortal wounds to, you guessed it, another boom Squig. So there, you could set off a chain reaction of explosions in the Squig herd. Something tells me that's too powerful, but I don't care. I think it's delightful. Next we have the Bowel Torrent Squig.
This one might be my favorite.
Yeah, all of these have like adjusted weapon skills and strength and toughness, just based on what kind of Squig it is. The Bowel Torrent Squig has the Loose Bowels weapon, 6-inch pistol 2. Strength 1, AP -2, and it automatically hits. So in most cases, it's wounding on a 6+, but it automatically hits and is -2 AP because it's just the worst fecal blast you've ever experienced. Then you have the Herd Squig. The Herd Squig is actually faster than the other Squigs. It has 10 inches of movement instead of 8. And it's very much, it doesn't really do much. It has like 1 attack, but it has a leadership of 6. So it boosts having one of these in the herd increases the unit's leadership from 4 to 6. Which I think if you have a really big mob of these guys, you probably want to just add 1 just to do that. Yeah. You probably want to give it a different coloration than the rest. Like all of these Squigs, I would just go ahead and use the Squig herd models. Just give them different coloring and stuff, or add some green stuff to them, just to indicate. Like maybe the boom Squig would be orange, but with like he'd be a little fatter. You know, the herd Squig would be one of the like little leaner ones, faster. Maybe give it a crest, like a ridged crest on its back. I think that would be cool.
Oh yeah.
The giant Squig is, I played around with this. I gave it the same stats as an attack Squig, except I just gave it strength 5 instead of 4 and 3 wounds instead of 1. Just a little bit bigger. And a little bit stronger. I didn't want it to do like 2 damage or anything like that. I don't want it to be over. It's not a monstrous thing. It's only giant because it's bigger than the rest of the squigs. It's big enough to let a grot ride on top of it, but that's still not very big. So
Yeah.
So a unit of a squig herd has the unruly ability. Whenever you have a unit of Gretchen nearby, and you take a combat attrition test for the squig herd, the Gretchen take the wounds instead. As the squigs eat the Gretchen that are trying to corral them into combat. So imagine a unit of 40 squigs takes a combat attrition test and rolls like 10 ones. That's 10 Gretchen that just get eaten. Then they have the Bounders ability. So when they charge, they have the fly keyword, and they can charge even if they advance. I do know I did give the squigs the Gretchen keyword. I just didn't feel like repeating. So they're not actually Gretchen. They're orcoids, but they're not Gretchen. But giving it the Gretchen keyword keeps it from getting all the special rules from the clan abilities and stuff. These are just animals. They're not going to have clan abilities. Okay.
So that's how you take care of that. Got it.
Yeah, that's how you take care of that. Yeah. So the second unit that we made, the second and last unit we made, is the Grot War Boss on Giant Squig. He's power level 4. He has basically the same stats as a Giant Squig, except he's also got the Grot on top of him. So he's got 5 wounds. And he's got a Stabba, which just gives him an extra attack with his Stabba. It's really not, and he's got the gun, the Grot Blasta. Literally almost no offensive capabilities whatsoever. But units of Gretchen and Squigs within 3 inches of the Grot War Boss on Giant Squig don't take combat attrition tests, which is kind of a big deal. However, the squig is hangry. So at the start of the morale phase, for each unit of Gretchen or squigs within 3 inches, roll a dice. On a 4+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds as the giant squig gobbles up squigs and Gretchen. Then it has the same advance and charge and fly when it charges ability. Then we have, I think this one's kind of my favorite. It's Squig Tamer. So if basically what it says is if the unit dies, this Grot War Boss and Giant Squig, if he dies, roll a dice. On a 3+, if there's a squig herd within 3 inches and that squig herd has a giant squig in it, you'll pick up this unit that just died and replace that giant squig with this same exact character. So he managed to jump off the squig as it died and jump onto another squig.
Got it. Yeah.
And he lives to fight another day. Or at least the rest of the battle until he gets killed again.
Well, yeah. That's probably more, yeah.
So I thought that was I thought that was a fun. I'm sure. So again, none of this is play tested, but I think it would be a fun thing for people to play out. And it has plastic models that you can use to do it with, which is another bonus, right? If you, it's possible that this Loon Boss on Cave Squig is fine. Nope, it's plastic. It's a plastic model. You just need to give him a grot. You just need to make him more 40k. That's all. He's cute, but he's not 40k. He's very Age of Sigmar-y. So you want to give him like a better Stabba, like a more 40k-ish Stabba, and you want to give him a Grot Blasta hanging off his back, or put the Stabba on his waist and put the gun in his hand. That would probably be what would make it, and swap out his head for a Grot head, say from the DakaJet kit, because a lot of those guys have goggles and stuff on, and that would go really well on the back of the giant cave squig. Yeah, I think that would work out really nicely.
Yeah,
But
I think that would work.
I think it's fun. I think it kind of makes me want to go ahead and do that. I certainly don't have a sweet unit of
your new army.
Yeah, but again, thank you, Anton. Anton has been making a lot of suggestions, which a bunch of them, we do have on the burner somewhere. Some of the folks' suggestions are stuff we've done in the past, but again, it was pretty far in the past. Yeah. So we might revisit some of these topics that you folks are suggesting that we've already done before. So anyways, that's the Squigs. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back, talk more orcs with Mike about his sweet new book.
Come here, boy, get the ball. Come on, Max, get the ball. Mom, Max won't get the ball. He's lazy.
I think I know why your Zote is being lazy, Jenny.
Why, Mom?
Because you forgot to feed him his Zotabix today.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Zotabix contains all the nutrients and random animal parts a growing Zote craves. It not only provides our Zote with the energy it needs to play with you and protect our home, but it also keeps its chitinous shell fresh and shiny.
Oh, boy. I'd better feed Max his Zotabix.
Yes, you had.
Zotabix is made in part from grade
Max,
A
time for
Astra
dinner.
Militarum post-engagement byproduct and is infused with 112 essential vitamins and
Max,
minerals
down.
harvested from your Zote's natural habitat, the finest desert deserts. Zotabix is available in any shopping center on worlds where Zotes are allowed or where the Imperium's inexorable influence has not yet reached.
Welcome back. As promised, we have with us here Mike Brooks. Mike, thanks for coming.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so excited to have some new folks on to talk about their work, especially this new work, new to us, Brutal Kunnin, which, if anybody's wondering, since the brutal is the adjective, and cunning is the noun? Whatever. We're talking about morkish stuff here, not gorkish stuff here. Which I hope that you read the book. If you're listening to this, that you read the book, you would know that it's the story of Uftak, Bad Moon's knob. He's fighting against the Mechanicus, who are the antagonists of this series. We can talk anybody, we can have an argument about it, but I'm going to be right when I say that the Mechanicus are the antagonists here. And there's also other orcs that have that he's pitting himself against, obviously, because that's how orcs roll. Bad Ruck and his freebooters are there, and a bunch of other orcs. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But of course, we're not going to fetter our conversation to just that if we don't want to. First of all, I'd like, Mike, if you could, if you'd please kind of give us your pedigree, if you will. Is Black Library your first writing gig, or do you have a history of other works?
Yeah, no, Black Library is not my first writing. I previously released 3 space opera novels called the Kaiko series, which was described by one reviewer as like if Firefly and the Expanse had a love child, which I thought was quite a positive a tagline, actually. I didn't even have to pay him to get it. So there's 3 of them. There's Dark Run, Dark Sky, and Dark Deeds, and they've all been out for a couple of years. They are out in America and in UK and in France and Germany, actually, and they're on audiobook and everything. So I wrote those, and then I sort of got involved with Black Library kind of by cheating, basically, which is how I've done a lot of my writing. Because I tried with I tried with open subs and utterly failed. But I live in Nottingham in the UK, and back when you could actually leave the house, I used to go and game at Games Workshop, Warhammer World, most weeks. And I met a friend of a friend there, a guy called Andy, who worked at Games Workshop. I became friends with him, and I ended up in a campaign it was an Inquisimunder campaign. Are you familiar with Inquisimunder?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
So that group, the Inquisimunder group that's quite the esteemed group of folks that you're playing with over there.
Yeah. So I got involved in the Inquisimunder campaign, and I was playing orcs. And I happened these orcs actually, because the orcs in Brutal Kunnin are basically named after my warband that I was running in that game. So the head of it was Uftak Black Orc, who's been my go-to orc for years. And so I got chatting with Andy and said jokingly, I don't suppose Black Library would want, because what I was doing, I was writing little flash fiction of what my orcs had been up to each week and posting it up in the Facebook group for a laugh. So I said to Andy, you don't want, Black Library aren't going to want some randomer writing stories about orcs, are they? And he said, well, you're not a randomer, you're a published science fiction author. I'll ask. And it turned out that they did. Although not straight away. First of all, I did some short stories, and I did Rites of Passage, which was a Navigator novel, and I did Road to Redemption, which is a Necromunda novel. And then I got around to actually going, go on, let me do an orc novel. And they said, well, we'll do a short story first. And I did a short story, and they went, yeah, all right, you can do an orc novel.
That is a really great story. First, I was looking at that Rites of Passage novel a few weeks ago, not realizing that you'd written it, and I'm always looking for a different perspective in the Warhammer universe. And having read Brutal Kunnin, I just bought it on Amazon just now because I think that's going to be a really good one, because you really do have a way with perspective that I really like.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, that is a really interesting story, because that was one of the things I wanted to talk about, was the genesis of this story. Was it something that you brought to them, or they brought to you, or whatever? So it sounds like it was kind of a little bit of both.
Well, what happened was, I think it was at the Black Library weekend a couple of years ago now, and that was the first one that I'd gone to as one of their authors who sort of had stuff out, and I ended up next to Nick Kime at one point and pitched him what came out as Road to Redemption, but also the orc novel. So because I thought I want to write an orc novel, and also being kind of vaguely arrogant, I wanted to do it before anyone else. And Danny Ware at the same thing had already said that she wanted to write orcs. I was like, no, I want to get in there first. So I suggested it to Nick then and said, can I write an orc novel? Can I write an orc point of view novel? And that's when he started considering it. So
that's great. Yeah, it's often been kind of considered a really tall order to do an orc POV series, just due to the way that orcs talk, first of all.
That's because you're not folks don't.
That's right. But what they don't really understand is that the inner monologue doesn't necessarily have to follow the same rules as their dialogue.
No, if I'd had to write the entire thing in orc speech, it would have been unbearable.
Right. Yeah, you have the freedom as the author to translate the thoughts to the reader.
Yeah.
Which you do with a great deal of skill. Did you have a clear set of rules that helped you determine Uftak's inner monologue, or did you just put yourself in that driver's seat and just go? Like, for example, you didn't shirk from advanced grammar, right? Like, you used words that mean things to us and they might mean things to him. He may not use that word when he speaks out loud, but you used it in the inner monologue.
Yeah, I mean, there's a balancing act between character and effectiveness. And at the end of the day, I'm not writing something that is meant to be looked at by historians as going, is this a faithful depiction of orcish mental process? I'm writing something essentially that people are meant to enjoy. So I thought I'll keep the dialogue orcish, but everything else I can just basically go with what description is necessary. I do try and keep it so that, as you said, so that the character's perspective is different. So that one character will look at one thing and think of it in a certain way, and another character will look at another thing and think of it in a different way, using their own terms. But that doesn't mean that we can't use words that we understand, because otherwise you're letting what's the term? You're letting style get in the way of substance, essentially.
Right. And not every novel has to be freaking A Clockwork Orange. Let's keep it 100. Not that there's anything wrong with A Clockwork Orange, but we don't have to be. You don't need a thesaurus every time you look, or not even a thesaurus. You don't have to have a doctorate in history just to read a book. Anyways,
well, also a Russian language dictionary and
English. Yeah. Kazakhstan slang, whatever it is. Yeah. So with orcs as an antagonist, the theme is often that one should not underestimate them.
Yeah.
Like other military commanders tend to regret such a thing in Warhammer novels. So, but there is some of this in Brutal Cunning, such as when the orcs avoid the Fabricator General's traps and stuff.
Yeah.
But with a book like this, where it's written largely from the orc perspective, I think that challenge to one's preconceived notions, it's shifted from the characters to the readers themselves. Like you're allowing the reader to peer into the orc mind. Was that really the main focus here? Or was it the kind of challenging the reader to think differently about orcs rather than the characters in this case?
Oh no, I was just having fun. I literally just wanted to write a novel from the orc point of view, and that's what it turned out as. But in order to have a fun story, it was. I talked this over with my editor beforehand, but we did think it was quite fun to think of pitting the AdMech with their very regimented thought processes against the orcs, who are utter chaos and therefore completely incomprehensible to them, because the orcs are actually far more chaotic than chaos is. Chaos is very organized. They have big plans. Orcs is just, you literally do not know what they're going to do next, because most orcs don't know what they're going to do next. They're going to do whatever seems like a good idea at the time. And that just seemed like a very good way of setting up the AdMech desperately trying to predict what it is the orcs are going to do, and utterly failing because they haven't grasped the essential orciness factor. They're going to do whatever seems fun. They don't have any real plan. By and large, they don't have any real plan or grand goals other than this looks like fun and possibly painful, hopefully for someone else, but it doesn't really matter. And it's very difficult to plan against that if you don't understand it. So that was an element of it. It was, we set them up as the opposition because they seem very, very ideologically opposed to the orcs.
Yeah, I agree. I think it added to the fun factor in that the more stoic and well-reasoned and the more the opponent would be thinking of themselves as superior, the more funny it is when you're shaking them up and down with a lift-a-droppa and smashing them against themselves, right? Like, the more funny that becomes.
That is certainly not how my games of 40k have panned out. I had a wonderful experience a couple of years ago when I played with a friend of mine, because I've been playing since like 1993, so I grew up on second edition, and I ended up playing a game with a friend of mine who I think he started playing in fourth, and I had a game with him of second edition rules. So he had Space Marines, I had Orcs, playing second edition rules. So, endless amounts of one-on-one combats. But the best thing was I had pulsar rockets. And so I was just sending pulsar rockets across the battlefield, and it lands. And he doesn't know anything about second edition, so he's like, "Yeah, okay, what does that do? All your troops fall over." They what? They fall over. Okay. Because second edition Orc Artillery was hilarious. It was either going to win you the game or possibly kill you, and it was just very funny either way. I was trying to sort of really harness that element of chaos with the orcs. So sometimes it goes right and sometimes it goes wrong. And because this is an orc story, it's about when it goes right.
Right. Well, obviously, it's from the orc perspective. Everything's, I mean, even when it goes wrong, that's okay because it's just one step closer to getting it right, right?
Yeah.
I do think that using the Mechanicus as the antagonist was a really good stroke. Just, I think it helps the reader actually more relate better to the orcs when you're reading it too. I think it does a good job with that. So I think some of these questions are obviously a little heavy-handed because I take the orcs very seriously. In my how non-seriously I take my gaming, so I apologize if it's a little introspective. So the orcs do have this really fascinating pragmatism, which really comes across in your novel, where they just kind of get these really interesting little decisions that lead to these tiny little successes, and they happen all across the battlefield until it's this overwhelming tide of success. You know, it's like this compartmentalized. For example, let me for example, to better understand Yumi's strategy, Ufthak asks his grot what he'd do in that situation. So that he could better understand how the humans work. I thought that was genius. That was really, really funny.
Well, as far as Ufthak's concerned, a grot is the closest thing he's got to a human. So
right. It's genius, though. It's freaking genius. I love that. That was really funny. That's me. That's me harnessing my inner Chris Farley. That wasn't really a question. That was just me saying how awesome that was. So orc perspective is really fun to experience. Like, for example, the way Ufthak scoffs at Yumi uniformity and blandness. And I think that's very much how sometimes as an orc player, you're playing against another Imperial player. Like, look at all of those beautiful look at that huge uniform, beautifully painted army across the battlefield. But no one of my vehicles looks alike. And he really dislikes all these cookie cutter look and the complicated pointlessness of Yumi writing. And how Princess gets its name by misreading Princeps on the canister of.
I cannot believe they let me call a Squig Princess.
That was amazing.
Well, that's the thing.
That was amazing.
Again, going back to the Inquisimundo campaign, you could have a pet squig as a beast, and so I gave Ufthak a pet squig, and I called it Princess because I refused to take things seriously. And so when it came around to write a novel about Ufthak, it's like, I'm going to give him a squig. I'm going to call it Princess. And lo and behold, they actually let me do it. I can't believe it. One of my proudest achievements so far writing for Games Workshop is getting to call a squig Princess with a reason that is vaguely justifiable.
Right, exactly, it's a solution in search of a problem, I'm sure, right? Like how he got the name happened after he got the name, right?
God, yeah, I was looking for an excuse. It's like, how can I make this work? That'll do.
And so I'm sure, it is part of the fun of writing the orcs, the opportunity to poke fun at the absurdity of the setting and the Imperium and the human condition in general.
Oh yeah, completely. I think there's one of the lines that my editor was like, I'm not sure if we should leave this in, but we will leave it in. Was the one where I can't even remember which one it was. I've written so many things since then. One of the senior AdMech council, I think it might have been the Fabricator General, was describing about how the orcs, they can never invent anything new, and they're just in their society that's gradually degrading because they don't have any original thoughts, and which obviously was meant as a reflection of the Imperium, and they don't realize it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very ironic comment there. Absolutely. And that's the orcs see the Humies as stupid and backward in a lot of ways. Like, for example, when Mograt asks, well, do you know how to fly a Humi spacecraft? And Uftek's like, well, if a Humi can do it, you can do it. Clearly. Yeah. Do you think that the Imperium could learn a lesson from the orcs to allow a little, like humans in Warhammer, they try to avoid schism and infighting, but it's still a huge part of their society, and just like it's orcs, but for orcs, they embrace it and it's a part of their culture. One of the big things about 40K and orcs is, the Imperium says, well, if the orcs would stop fighting amongst themselves, they would conquer the galaxy. Like, really, guys? Maybe you need to look in the mirror and say that, right? Or maybe they need to fight amongst themselves a little bit more. Maybe they'd be a little bit more successful. There are a few things that are also on this list of, gosh, that was cool, but I don't really have a question about it. There's a quote here. If Mork had wanted us to walk, he'd have made us goths. That's probably one of my favorite lines in the whole book. There's liable to be accidents and mistakes, but make sure your guns are pointed at Badrock's boys when that happens. Where the orcs imply that there's going to be accidents on the battlefield. Just make sure it happens to the other guy.
They're not going to be accidents. It's just
clearly
they're accidents.
Yeah, it's clearly terrible. Well, at one point, Malgraz says, terrible luck that happened to his battle wagon. There wasn't an accident, but they present it as, it's really funny how they present it. The fact that you really reinforce that Pain Boys and Mad Boys in general, they're very much kingmakers in orc society. How this big bad boss gets his head lopped off, and he sticks our hero's head on top of the bigger body, and suddenly he's the boss. Yep. Right. And yep. I find that whole paradigm very exciting. It's kind of how my WA is set up, and having the Mad Boy is kind of the power behind most of the social structure and the decisions that get made. Just point the bigger orcs at it, and they'll solve most of the problems for you. Mm-hmm. So what is there anything else about this novel that you wanted to communicate to the reader, Mike, that you besides the fact that we shouldn't take it as seriously as we are?
No, I don't think so. It was literally, I was mainly just having fun writing it. I wanted to write a novel about orcs. They let me, and I think it was the most fun I've ever had writing a novel, because I'd say I've been playing orcs for over 25 years in various different game systems, and it was just one of those things of I didn't have to think about it. The AdMech stuff I had to do a bit more research into, because I'm not particularly familiar with AdMech, and so I had to do background stuff and sort of working out who's who and what their titles are and everything like that. But the orc stuff, I just sat down and wrote because I know orcs, and I'm comfortable that I know orcs. I know how they think. I know how they speak. I know how they act, and so those bits were I was just writing what I thought they'd do, and it was easy and incredibly entertaining.
It seems like that you were the right person to tap for that particular task. I'm not sure, feel free to agree or disagree or neither in this regard, but for a few years there might have been quite an effort to extract some of the whimsy out of the species. And some folks prefer to not have that, and that's fine. Everybody's welcome to enjoy their hobby the way they want, but I think it's really nice to have someone who has a history. I've only been playing the game for a few years, but since about 2010-ish, and but still, a lot of that brutal whimsy is what I like the most about the orcs. And to have somebody who understands that and can harness that in a palatable way is really nice. And in my conversations with people, a lot of people really enjoyed this book. I haven't heard anybody say anything. The only negative. So I usually ask people for questions about the book, and most people were just like, "No, I just love this book." The only thing people were confused about is some of the AdMech conversation. They were having trouble. I didn't have any trouble figuring out who was who in those conversations, but I listened to the audiobook, and that was pretty. The person who narrated it did a really good job, so I didn't have a problem with it. But other than that, there were like no negative comments about this novel. Everybody loves it.
I think what you were saying about the whimsy side was, I think it was Guy Haley who said something like this at one of the live events of, orcs seem funny until you get close to them.
Yeah.
Right? When orcs are happening to someone else, they look amusing. When they're happening to you, they are terrifying. And one of the things that I wanted to do with the orc perspective was to get over how completely routine violence is for them, because one of the things that I deliberately did to an extent was that I didn't use particularly involved or descriptive language when Uftak's fighting, because if you're writing, if you were writing something like Chaos, who really take delight in the violence, then it would feel more fitting to really go into more detail and more, not exactly purple prose, but more florid prose of what's going on. Whereas Uftak, it's literally, he just does this. It's just normal. So when he's killing people and squashing people's heads and stuff, it doesn't feel necessary to give it lots of really involved description, because he is not paying attention. He's just doing this because that's what he's doing. And he's enjoying it, but he's not really getting into it. He's just, this is, I'm having a fight today. It would be like writing a very, very involved description of someone going for a nice country walk. So that was what I kind of, because and that is terrifying, because he's just going out there and killing all these people because that's what he's going to do today. And that to him is perfectly normal. And he's not doing it because he's vicious. Well, he is vicious, but he's not doing it because he's sadistic or because he's enjoying the suffering that he's causing, like a Chaos Marine might. He's doing it because that's what he enjoys doing. And orcs always assume that everybody wants to fight. And they get really confused when people don't want to fight, because why would you not want to fight? So, we're going to fight. And that's the thing. That I think is how you balance it, is that they can be very amusing when you're watching them, but when they're in action, they are terrifying.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. And again, it's that understanding, I think, that makes this such a fun novel. I hate to impose the words like effortless onto authors and artists in general, because I'm afraid it's going to take away some of the actual effort that went into the work, but when you read it, it feels very effortless in the way that it's delivered. It feels like you have a firm grasp of the thought processes involved, which, someone who's played orcs for as long as you have, I can see why that would be the case. But this book's a gift. I sure hope that there's going to be more coming. I hope that folks take the opportunity to pick it up and read it, because that's what determines whether we get more books like this in the future, whether from you or others, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know there wasn't. Games Workshop have not done very many Xenos point of view novels. We had a few Eldar ones and Dark Eldar ones, but that was about it, really. And then I think there was a Tau one. But they kind of ventured with this to sort of say, okay, we'll give it, and obviously with the Infinite and the Divine as well, the Necron point of view novel. Response to both of them seems to have been very good. So hopefully we'll have the opportunity for more Xenos point of view novels. I'm not certain if we're going to get a Tyranid one. I think that might be a bit of a stretch. If they do, then I think Adrian Tchaikovsky would be the obvious choice, but I'm not seeing that one. But I would be interested to see others, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's fun to see, but it's a question of getting the right person to do it. And in your case, they kind of had to see some work ahead of time in order to be convinced that it's the right way to go. And I would hate for somebody to put a ton of effort into something that doesn't get approved, but there's nothing like flexing the muscles, right? So, if I don't even think Games Workshop, or I don't even think the Black Library just accepts blind.
No.
Just blind submissions like that, though.
If you are, I'm not going to say an established author, but if you are an author, a published author, then I think you might be able to approach them and say, "Hello, I'm an author. I have these works that have been released, which you can go and check out, and I would like to write for you." Otherwise, then you really have to go through the open subs.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so you've written about orcs. I've written about the navigator houses. Are there any other factions that excite you that you'd like to write for?
I don't know, really. I mean, orcs are always my favorite.
Right.
I find Space Marines reasonably dull. I find the concept behind Space Marines fascinating. I find Space Marines to read often not particularly interesting, depending on circumstances and who's writing it. But I don't find Space Marines particularly grab me so much. Certainly, I'm not a huge fan of writing. I haven't really tried, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to try and write Imperial Space Marines, and certainly because I just think it's very limiting in terms of they will know no fear. So what's the point then? It's only when you compare it to much more. I like much more human perspectives. So I did do a Guard short story. I love writing in Necromunda because that was always my favorite game way back in the mid-90s, and I do really like the rebooted version now.
That's cool. Yeah, so maybe some more from the Necromunda point of view, or maybe even you might be a good option for doing some like Genestealer cult type stuff, some weird space alien stuff.
Yeah, again, I'm not offhand. I'm not really quite sure how you'd approach Genestealer cult because they all have that whole hive mind thing going on. I'm not quite sure how you would depict that. I'd have to think about that one. But
there'd be a lot of weird body horror and stuff involved in that, which I'm not sure if it could be faithfully depicted without being too gross.
Yeah, I think that is sort of a problem because they have a broadly a PG-13 certificate idea on their books. I mean, for example, in my Necromunda novel, there's a couple of kids who get kidnapped, and one of them there's a younger boy and an older girl, and basically they kind of the girl at least starts getting indoctrinated by the sort of redemptionist corridors types who've captured her. And so I was trying to going, okay, so how do kids kind of get indoctrinated into, essentially becoming child soldiers and stuff? My Necromunda novel is pretty grim. And actually I wrote it and I sent it to my editor, and he came back and said, yeah, if she's going through these sorts of things, we can't have her as 12. She has to be 16.
Right.
Which was a bit of a shame because it kind of cuts down the impact of the whole child soldier thing, but at the same time, otherwise you can't get the book published. So she was aged up to 16. So there is that thing of but I don't know. They do have a horror line. I haven't read much of it because horror is not really my thing. But we do have a horror line, so maybe you could go down that route with Gene Stealers. Not sure, right. But generally, I'm just enjoying writing for them in general. And there's obviously they release so much stuff that to a certain, I'm not, it's not like you say pick and choose as such, but there's scope to concentrate more on the things that you want to write as an author, because there's always going to be someone else who's going to be available to write anything else anyway. So
yeah, we were talking to Gav, and the analogy of the spaghetti sticking to the wall approach to producing this stuff is very much kind of what Black Library does. And fortunately, there's enough people who like spaghetti of all varieties that there's enough spaghetti to go around for everybody.
Yep.
I just personally, this novel really spoke to me. So I really do hope folks support it through whatever channels you get your novels from, because I want to see more like this. Even if you don't feel like you want to do any more, I would definitely want other people to do more, and from this perspective, and this is a good example to start that down that. I know we've had them in the past. There was one for Red Y, I think, but this one's my favorite so far. So do you have anything that you can talk about for Games Workshop coming up? If not, is there any other work that you're doing that you can talk about that's coming up?
I can't actually talk about anything else at Games Workshop because nothing else has been announced. I have done various things for them since I wrote Brutal Kunnin. But as far as I'm aware, none of it's been announced by them, so I can't talk about any of it.
Well, that's fine. In the meantime, Rites of Passage is available out there, right? Yep. And your other series, it's I'll spell it for folks because sometimes on the podcast it's hard to understand. It's the Keiko series.
Yeah, and then coming out beginning of next year, I've got my epic fantasy series. Which is my own creation. So that's the first novel is coming out in February. The series is called The God King Chronicles, and the first book is called The Black Coast. So it's got war dragons and dangerous demonic entities, and but it's also I also try to write it as something that's kind of a bit hopeful. I mean, there's danger and there's conflict, but there's also sort of people trying to find non-violent solutions to problems and trying to essentially get along with different people from different cultures because they're kind of sort of thrown together in a situation where they have to get along in order to survive. So that's coming out next year. The first one's coming out in February, and the second one's coming out later in the year, I think. But that might vary from country to country.
Yeah, I hear you. There's been a propensity for this edgy nihilism that I'm not going to lie, with as of 2020, I can do without.
Yeah. I mean,
I could do with a little
really
more
well.
talking.
Some people do it really well. But I mean, because I actually started, I wrote the first, what turned into the first one of these. I wrote it when I was still doing the day job and in the gaps between other novels. So I sort of wrote some of it around, I think I already started writing it when I wrote the third of the Keiko novels, I think. Certainly I wrote it around writing stuff for Games Workshop, but I started writing it properly in the aftermath of the Brexit vote in this country, which really struck me as something that was massively driven by xenophobia. And I just wanted to write something where people met people who were different from them and actually found a way to get along with them. And it turned into this sort of this. Well, I kind of wove that into what I already had in mind for a fantasy trilogy, and just went, yeah, you know what, this is the time, but I'm going to write this because I want to write this story now because I'm pissed off with how the world is going. And to be honest, things have largely got worse since then, with a brief window now of something vaguely good having happened somewhere. I was up very late last night with my 6-pack in celebration. Yeah. We'll see how that goes for us. Yeah. Yep. But,
I might need to have a 6-pack on deck. Oh man. Yes. So yeah, if you're feeling hopeful, why not use that as inspiration? People have used horrible pain and terrible like negative things that have happened to them, trauma, as inspiration. Why not take a little glimmer of hope and use that as your inspiration from time to time, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fantastic, Mike. Do you have anything else going on that you want to talk about before we sign off?
I'm trying to think, really. If people are interested in listening to my punk band, then you can find us on Bandcamp. We're called Interplanetary Trash Talk.
That's an amazing band name. I love that.
Yeah, it's a great name.
I play guitar and I'm one of the singers in that. Other than that, no, not really. I've not got much going on.
I feel like that we are absolutely engaging in interplanetary trash talk with some of the signals we've been sending out. Yep. Like we're really just daring people to be like, are these people for real? Like, is this the kind of thing they want to project about themselves? Okay, you guys. I mean, all right, here we go. All right, great. Well, thank you so much, Mike Brooks. I really appreciate it. Everybody pick up. I mean, obviously, hopefully you've read Brutal Cunning at this point, but check out some of his other stuff. And if we get more in the future, be sure to grab that too.
Well, thanks very much for inviting me on.
All right. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Hey Archons, tired of the boring predictability and efficiency of stuff that always works? You need the Slip Party Bus! Got an extra 473 points that you can't find a solid use for? You need the Slip Party Bus! You could spend 420 points on 3 reliable Lance Ravagers pumping out 9 Darklands shots per turn. That'll only give up 3 victory points, or you can drop 473 points on 2 Archons, 8 Slip, and a Raider for 11 victory points. You need the Slip Party Bus! The classic Slip Party Bus. Still awesome. Party Bus! Still hilarious. Party Bus! It's the Slip Party Bus! If you love the Slip Party Bus, you'll want to check out our other exciting products. We have the Rack Wiffle Ball Bat, the Trueborn, and the Blood Bride. Trueborn and Blood Bride models no longer available. The classic Slith Party Bus, still awesome, still hilarious. It's the Slith Party Bus!
All right. Welcome back, everybody. That's all. That's done. It's done. Probably, I wouldn't say that it was the most skillful interview I've conducted. I am so tired. I apologize to Mike Brooks if that was painful for him to deal with my tired ass, but I am ready for.
Yeah.
I'm actually ready to go back to work tomorrow. If I'm being 100% honest, I'm just going to go back to work and do my thing and not worry about the future of society for a little while. I'm not going to lie. Something I'm looking forward to. So yeah, next week we're going to talk about Space Wolves. But until then,
play the game the way you want to.
We'd love it if you could give us a positive rating and review on iTunes.
If you'd like to keep in contact with us, you can follow us on Facebook or Twitter by searching for Masters of the Forge. And you can follow our hobby progress on Instagram with the hashtag Masters of the Forge.
You can also contact us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com if you have any questions, topic suggestions, or if you'd like to advertise your creative hobby endeavor. Thanks again for listening.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial, International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Podod of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling. The feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.